Hello everyone! Ooh, let's get the frame. Here I am in the shop. I'm just going to thread up my machine whilst we're waiting for everyone to arrive. And I'd also just like to say I am at the shop and we have got a couple of people here working. So if you do hear other noises, that's what's happening. Oh, I don't have any scissors. Thanks, Molly. How are we all? How's people's weekends been? Oh, Sarah, hello. Nice to see you joining us. Hi. Hi, Fiona. I think today, I have to say, personally, I am so pleased that we are doing this today. It's going to be a nice bit of escapism for me after the news of the weekend. Hi, Tina. It's been a difficult weekend since that we're about to open the doors of our store after being closed for so long, and now we won't be able to. But that's our store for Lisa Comfort Home, so not so over it, but still. Anyway, today we're going to be making the Edie top. I cannot thread this. Hi! Oh, let's find out where everybody is. We've got Cape Town, we've got Cornwall, Bedfordshire. Yes, Tina, thank goodness for sewing. A blowy Brighton. Oh, I bet it is blowy there. Blow the cobwebs away on a nice beach walk though, that would be nice. Liverpool, Ireland, Finland, hi. BA, Buenos Aires, is that? Germany, Lincolnshire, Hertfordshire. Oh, we're spreading the West Midlands, Newcastle. Oh, we're across the country today. Lots of people tuning in from all over the country. Bath, oh, it was Bath. I thought it was Buenos Aires, Janet. Loughborough, Luton. Cobham, Surrey. Oh, I've been to Cobham before. It's where all the footballers live, isn't it? South Africa. Bristol. Oh my goodness, South Africa and Bristol. So, right guys, so thanks for joining me today. Hi, oh, Vanessa's in Derbyshire. We have got, yes, and Andy Murray. Oh, apparently Andy Murray lives near there. That's Cobham and Surham. Oh, sorry. All the celebs. So we are joined by Rosie today. She will be online answering your questions. So feel free to ask her. This is your opportunity to ask questions. It doesn't matter if it's not connected to Edie. If she can answer it, she will. But it's a nice opportunity to get live access to the Sew Over It team during the Sewalong. And if you're watching this afterwards, after it's live, then don't forget that lots of links will be in the description box below for things that I'm referencing and talking about. So the Edie top is what we're going to be making today, and it's a lovely, easy jersey make. What makes it particularly easy is it's with cotton jersey rather than viscose jersey, which can be a little bit slippy and a bit fiddly. You can make this out of viscose jersey, I should say, but we recommend cotton jersey because it helps keep the structure of the neckline and it's also easier to sew with. So the Edie's from our Work to Weekend ebook. So it's part of that ebook, which has 5 patterns. It's one of the 5 patterns. I'm looking here because I'm looking for my fabric. So yes, you will pop up a link to that. The fabric that I'm using today, will also be putting up a link to it. This is a really lovely navy cotton jersey. That's what I'm using. I really could do with an Edie in navy in my wardrobe. So I'm being a little bit selfish today because I could have gone with something a bit jazzier, which might have been slightly easier to show you details on, but I really want to have a navy one. So sorry guys. I'm just going to quickly alter this because I think that we could, there we go. Yeah, you can see a bit more of the table then. Right, so the first things we're going to do is we're going to do some stabilising of the neckline. So we need to stabilise on both the front and back neckline and then on one side the shoulders as well. Now I stupidly have taken my pattern pieces off my fabric and now I don't know which is the front and the back. So what I'm going to do is just hold them up, line up the shoulder seams, and the front slightly dips down lower. There we go, I can see it there. The front's just coming down a little bit lower, so that's my front. So let's start with the front. I'll put the back up there, and I need to make sure I'm on the wrong side. I am there. So we've got this great stuff, this stabilising tape. And what this is going to do, hello Louise, you made it, yes. What we're going to do is we're going to iron this onto the seam allowance. So the seam allowance, check my seam allowances today guys, so I'm super confident about them, is 1 centimetre on the neckline and 1.5 centimetres everywhere else. So that would be 3/8 of an inch on the neckline and 5/8 of an inch on other seams. So we need to make sure that this is sitting within that because we don't want it to be getting in the way of the seam. So what you can do is you can mark your stitch line. Now, if you're unsure of what 1 centimetre looks like, I definitely recommend doing this. So essentially, I've got a white fabric marker there, pen there. I haven't got a pattern master with me today, but you can just mark along so you can see where you need to make sure that the stay stitching doesn't go beyond, sorry, the stabilising tape. I'll mark it on this one just to kind of show you. But you can use tailor's chalk. If you had a light colour, you could use this. Light colour fabric, the old magic fabric markers, they're great. Okay, oopsie daisies. Okay. Can you see? You can there a little bit. So that's what we're done. So now I need to get Mr. Iron up. I've also got my flask of tea here, guys. Generally, when I'm in the shop, I have my tea in a flask, but often what happens, I put it down and I forget it's there and then it gets cold. So if I have it in the flask, it stays warm and toasty and that we don't waste cups of tea. Right, we'll get Mr. Ironing Board. I look like a little child again now, don't I? The table's too big for me. And we'll get the iron. And we're going to get this stabilised. So let's lay the front here. Oh no, you've not got tape. If you've not got tape, it's not the end of the world. You can make it. It's just going to stretch it out a bit. So but you could use a ribbon. It would be a little bit restrictive, but you could always use that. It's not, or cotton tape. It was so funny. I was speaking to my sister over the weekend, and I was talking to her and saying, "Oh, I'm doing lots more sew-alongs again." She's like, "Oh gosh, oh hi Lorianne," and she's like, "Oh gosh, you're not going to be starting to do more for kids, are you?" And I was like, "Why? I thought you liked them." She's like, "No, I didn't. I used to break out and sweat with rashes on my neck trying to get the kids to keep up with you." She's like, "We couldn't do it live. We just couldn't. We got into such a fluster." I was like, "Okay, well." Maybe for the kids sewing ones, you know, and next time if I did do them, I'd have to go slower. My sister's not a sewer. Right, I'm just positioning this round like that. The sewing machine I gave my sister, she uses to make friends in her street. She just gives it out to people. She never uses it herself. So there's a rough side to the interfacing here, and I have placed that onto the seam allowance, and I can see my line that I drew, and we need to make sure that we're just tucking in from inside of that. Now I should take that steam off because we don't need the steam for this. So, and because this is Vilene, whoops, it bends, it curves like a piece of bias tape would. So you shouldn't have any issues trying to get it to go around a curve. So yeah, so the reason why we're doing this is we're stabilising it, so we're stopping it from stretching out. Because if you can look at it here, it's a nice big wide neckline, and so it could really stretch out, and we don't want that. What's the French name for bias tape? Ooh, I want to know that. No idea. Is Helene watching? Maybe she knows. We have somebody called Helene who watches from France. Not sure if she's with us at the moment. Okay guys, that's it done. Let me hold up so you can see. So that's the front done. So that's now stopping it from stretching out. So going to give it that nice structure. Okay, so then we're going to move on into the shoulders and the back. Oh, Helene is there. Oh, it's Helene asking. Okay. Sorry. Oh dear. Sorry. Helene, can you ask yourself? Yes, it does have a line of stitching through it, a chain stitch through it, so that helps strengthen it. So it's not just a cut piece of interfacing. This is a special type of stabilising interfacing tape for knit. It's generally used for knit. And because it's got that stitch through it, that stops the interfacing from stretching as well. Right, so what we're going to do for this is we are going to do the shoulders and the neckline in one go, so that we're going to pivot it, sort of curve it around that corner. So we're going to go come here, across and across there. La la la. So I'm just going to line it up like that, and then over we go. Okay, now I did that a little bit too far. Just peel that back and bend it round. So this is going to mean it's less bulky than if we did this in sections and ended up with lots of overlapped points. And I am still going to get a little pleat in there, but it's still going to be less bulky than if I did little separate strips. Ah, well done, Helen. You've ordered some. I'm going to try and find that out. That's going to bug me. So I'm going to try and find out what it is in French to see, find a competitor and see if they're selling it. Okay, there we go. We're pivoting around again. Oops, gone a little bit far. Just peel that back. I didn't cut this, guys. You're just using it sort of, you don't need to measure it as you're on your pattern like you would a cotton stay tape. The main thing is to make sure you're not stretching the fabric underneath when you're putting it on. So flat pressing rather than pushing. Oh, hello. Hello, Shelley in Alberta, Canada. Alberta. Oh, look. It's Ruben Bias. Ooh, I can't even pronounce that. I'm not going to try and embarrass myself. Oh, but it looks like we've got the French there name for it. Right, okay. So we're going to take this down. I'm going to start doing some sewing. It feels a bit strange, the order of construction for this top is because we're going to basically start with the neckline, finish the neckline, and then carry on with the rest of it. It's just the way we can nicely do the top stitching, because we actually do top stitching on the neckline and we come a top stitch along the shoulder seam, so it's kind of like a continuous top stitch like that. Oh, I've just put the iron down and I need to get it back up because we need to iron over the neckline. Oh no, we don't. We need to do the shoulder seams first. We're fine. We're fine. Shoulder seams first, then we'll do that. Okay. So we're going to place it right sides together. Okay. And line up our shoulder seams. Pin those together. And then the same on the other side. Pin those together. Like so. Okay, so they're pinned together. Then on the sewing machine, I am going to be, oh, hello in Texas. I am going to be using the lightning stitch, which is the one that looks like that on the sewing machine. I'm going to use that because that kind of automatically does a very narrow kind of zigzaggy stitch. But if you don't have that on your machine, you can just use a zigzag stitch, which is around 2.5 long, and then really narrow, so something like 1.5, so that if from afar it's going to look like a straight stitch. But we need the zigzag in there because that then allows the stitch to stretch with the stretch of the fabric. So seam allowance on the shoulder seams is 5/8 of an inch, 1.5 centimeters. So line up with that. We're going to go, oh, it's got a little locking stitch in this, so I don't need to reverse, but do reverse if you haven't. And away we go. Okay, one done, and that is stretching. Okay. Next one. Reverse. I'm missing chat. I'm getting FOMO again, guys. What are you saying? Missing chat. I saw Walthamstow pop up there. Yes, I'm not in Walthamstow right now, but that's where I live. Oops, I'm at the shop. So I'm just trimming off those, and now I can get the iron back up. We're going to press those open, and then we're also going to press them open, and we are going to press over our neckline ready. Oh, we've got quite a few of you joining from South Africa today. That's exciting. Oh, right. Lay that like that. Okay, so press this open. Oh, well, I'm getting that horrible residue from hard water. It's fine though. It's dried residue, so it's okay. Oh, so some questions there, some questions. Right, just a second. I feel like I think I saw a question about Lisa Comfort. No. No. Okay, I can't do it. It's not working. I think there was a question there about Lisa Comfort Home. We were meant to be opening, not this week, but next week. But unfortunately now we can't. So, but we're going ahead with the launch of everything, and we are going to be launching it all online, along with a new website design. So watch this space. I'll make sure I tell you guys about it. So those are pressed open, and then we're going to turn this neckline over by 1 centimetre and press it flat. So we're turning it to the wrong side, and we've got the edge of the tape that we've just used, if you've used that, to guide you. Okay, that's around there. Now I just need to do this bit. So some jersey tops, the construction, a lot of them you do the neckline first because you put the band on with it flat. It's much easier with it before it's turned into a, if you've got band on, before you turn it into a like the actual top and do the side seams. But you also often do the sleeves in the flat, which means you stitch them in kind of without the armhole kind of turned into an armhole, but it's left like this. But we're not going to be doing that with this one. We're going to do the side seams after we've done the neckline, and then we're going to put the sleeves in the round like you would with a woven garment. Just getting this bit, it's a bit fiddly at the corner. I want to make sure I get that really nicely pressed, because that's, I don't want to lose the shape of the neckline at the shoulders. Just hold that round like that. Oops. And then press. Okay. That's now pressed. Wonderful. context. Context already, guys. It's only been a few minutes. We've already got something that I can put over my head. So you can see already you've got the shape of the neckline there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to top stitch one side and then the other side. So we're going to top stitch the front and we're going to top stitch the back. And we're going to start the top stitch from the edge of the armhole there. So we're going to start here. I'm going to come along and then around the neckline and then come back down along the other one. So the top stitching sits either side of there to keep that flat and finish the neckline really neatly. And then it stops you from getting a kind of not a particularly nice bit here. It helps that sit better. Okay, so pull that in so you can see it a bit better. Right. Doesn't really matter which side we start on. So we want to be top stitching a few millimeters from the middle, so from the seam. So if you line it up with the shoulder seam in the groove in between the feet, and then felt like something just snapped then. No, it didn't. It's all good. And then if we move the needle over, if you can do that. If you can't move your needle over because you're doing your zigzagging, or you can always, or your machine doesn't allow you to, then you just need to find a different point on your foot that you're going to use as your guideline. But ideally we want to be sewing about 3-4 millimeters, 5 millimeters tops from the, because we've got to keep that down. I'd say 5 millimeters is probably better than, so what you don't want to happen is for this to curl out, the seam allowance. There we go. And when we get to this corner point with the neckline, so we're nice happily sewing along the shoulder seam, and then we're going to put our needle in, maybe just stop there, at 5 millimeters from the edge, the folded edge of the neckline that we've just ironed. Lift it up, pivoty pivot, the needle is in, and then we can pivot around onto the neckline using your same guideline that you were using, whether that's a needle position change or whether that's a different point on your foot that you're following. Just keep making sure that you're not going to accidentally stitch in any little ripples, little pleats or anything, and that because you've got obviously the seam allowance underneath is nice and stabilised, but the fabric on top is not stabilised, so you are going to get a little bit of movement, but that should ease itself out as you go around. You just want to make sure that you don't accidentally pleat it. Just making sure everything's nice and flat. And I'm also trying not to overhandle and overstretch this top layer of fabric that's not stabilised. Just make sure here, I'm coming up to the corner, I just want to make sure that that seam, at the shoulder seam, stays pressed open. Okay, so I'm coming up to the shoulder seam, so now what I need to do is when I get 5 millimeters from the shoulder seam, I'm going to stop, put the needle in, pivot, and then come back down the shoulder seam on the other side. And that's one side done. Can I show you? Will it show? Kind of looks like, I don't know if you're able to see the stitching. It looks like that. Okay, so it comes along, pivots and goes down. Right, now we need to do the same on the other side. Exactly the same, finding yourself a guide point so that you're going to be in the same position. I'm going to just go along the other side at about 5 mils. pivot at the neckline. You've obviously got that all nicely, but you might find like mine, it just keeps popping up and being naughty. And just tuck it back under your naughty neckline. There we go. Okay. Sorry guys, I'm concentrating for this bit. I'm trying not to pleat anything. I'm trying to keep it lovely and neat. This morning I recorded my makes video for the end of the month. Well, it's already the end of the month, it's the start of the next month, isn't it? So every month, or at the start of the following month, I'll be doing a little summary of all the things we've made on the sew-alongs. Yeah, that'll be up on Friday. And so you can see the Esther blouse finished, the Heather dress finished, and also an extra make, which was a hack. So tune in for that later on in the week. Oh, there we go, that's done. So that's all lovely, I'm happy with that. I just now need to give that a nice press so that does, because even though I haven't managed to stitch any little ripples in, a little bit of a gentle press from the top will make sure that it just sits flat and behaves itself. If you're worried about this marking, you can use a damp cloth if you don't want to press directly onto your fabric, but usually with cotton jersey it's fine. It's viscose jersey that tends to mark a bit more when you press like this. Getting a facial at the same time, lovely. There we go. Wonderful. Let's cut off our threads so we've got none of those in the way. And then we can go on to our side seams. Okay, there we go. Right. How are we doing? Half an hour. Ooh. I was hoping we'd get most of today's done. Don't know if we will, but I'm hoping we'll get a sleeve put in. That would be good, wouldn't it? If we could get a sleeve put in. We're doing our side seams now. So if you line up your side seams right sides together, lining up from the underarm here, there, and working towards the hem. You've got some notches to line up. We've got a notch there, which is about that position. And then we've got a notch at the waist as well. I think this top would make a really good hack into a dress as well. With a really nice little gathered skirt. I think that would look really good. More for the jersey dresses at the moment, guys. Jersey is the fabric that's going to help us feel very comfortable, but also stylish. That's what we're looking for right now, aren't we? Oh my goodness me. So I'm sitting right there, right in front of our shop doors there. Not right in front, but quite in front. And this guy's just gone to park in front of the shop, and he pulled up so close to the shop door, I thought he was going to drive through it. That would have been a drama we've not had on a sew-along yet. A man driving through into the sew-along in his car. Okay, so I've pinned that side, now I'm going to pin the other side, and you'll notice I'm flipping it over so that I'm keeping the fabric to the left when I'm sewing, so it's hanging off the edge of the machine. You always have to do that with side seams, so that you've always got your fabric. You always want to be working from the top down, and then yeah, keeping your fabric to the left. Just seen, you've just finished your Leah dress. Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, the Leah dress, guys, is from issue 2 of my magazine, and we're actually working on releasing that as a sew over it pattern. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous dress, and it's based on Leah Seydoux, who's the actress in the Bond film. I think it's the most recent Bond film. Can't remember now which. She's basically the daughter of his enemy. And she's in, I think they're in Tangier or somewhere, and she's walking up this road. And she's in, is it maybe South America? I can't remember now. But she's walking up the road with Bond, and she's got this gorgeous cream white dress on. And that's what inspired it. Okay. There we go. Pinny pin pin. Let me just have a sip of this. Okie dokie doodlies. Time to sew this together. So 1.5 centimetres seam allowance, or 5/8 of an inch. Sorry. Off we go. Make sure you reverse, and then you're just using your same stitch. So I'm using my lightning stitch, or your zigzag, whichever you prefer. Forgotten how much slower it feels when you're sewing with the lightning stitch. It's almost doing double the work. So you think you're going to whip down a seam, and you don't. Okay, that's that one. Now we'll do the other one. So you'll see behind me, guys. Let me just show you. I can't move. This is the sideboard, one of the pieces of furniture we're going to be selling on Lisa Comfort Home. It's so bizarre, because one of the things I wanted to do with the shop is to make it feel like my home. I wanted it to kind of be that, you know, that's what we're kind of, it's all about, is my sense of style at home. So filling it with products that I want to have in my home, or I already have in my home, colours and things that I use. And so of course that's what's happened, but it feels really bizarre now. I'm like, oh, I could be in my home, because I've got a lamp like that at home, and I've got that. And these are gorgeous dried flowers that we're going to also be selling. And my favourite quote, which is a quote from Audrey Hepburn: "Dance as though no one is watching, sing as though no one can hear you, and live as though heaven is on earth." I read the book, one of the Little People Big Ideas book, I can't remember, I think it's called that. It's a really lovely series of books, and there's one on Audrey Hepburn that I read to Jasmine, and she says that in it, and I always think it's wonderful. So we've created a print, so you can have that up on your wall. I feel like now more than ever is the time to have some uplifting quotes on the walls. So this week, guys, tomorrow I'll be back at 1 o'clock, and we've got the Ivy skirt. Thank you. And the Ivy skirt is a kind of, it's in between a pencil skirt, our, oh, yeah, it looks weird, doesn't it? I feel completely like thrown you all, guys. Be where I am, because it feels like home. An Ivy skirt tomorrow, which is like a pencil skirt and a navy skirt and a wrap skirt in one. So the Ivy skirt is from one of the patterns from one of my magazines, but it will be ready to be released tomorrow with the Sewalong as its own PDF pattern, like all the other Sew Over It patterns. It will be in that same format. So yeah, I'm looking forward to making her. I'm definitely looking forward to having one of her in my wardrobe, one of them in my wardrobe, and I'm making it out of this gorgeous tartan. So tune in tomorrow at 1 o'clock to see me do that. And then on Friday, we're sticking to the theme of what we're trying to do each week, which is have a nice, easy project for beginners or easy for experienced. It doesn't really, it appeals to all of us really. But we'll be making a makeup bag or toiletry bags, a bag with a zip on Friday. Okay. There we go. So we already, guys, we have a top. It's very exciting how quickly it comes together. So I'm going to trim these and then we're going to press our seams open and then we're going to move on to the sleeves. And I'm going to try my hardest. Yeah, I think it's very possible. Yes, I am planning to do some live videos in the evening. Absolutely. Can't remember when they are though. Rosie, maybe you could tell us whether we've got some evening ones coming up. I think maybe it's not this week. This week's a very busy week for me because this is the week that we're doing a big photo shoot for Lisa Comfort Home. All the furniture that I've designed that's now turned up from India, all our paint that we've had mixed, that's all coming, everything that we've been doing over the past year, it's all coming together in a big photo shoot this week. So I'll be very busy. So I'm not doing, I think I'll be exhausted in the evenings. I'm taking time out to, you could make it sleeveless. Sorry, I'm taking, next Wednesday will be our first evening sew along. There we go, guys. Yeah, I'm going to be very tired, so I thought if I did a sew along this week, it'd be like, so guys, do you want to just sew and I'll just sit here and chat? There wouldn't be any energy left. How's the cottage going? Well, Kim, it's interesting you ask about the cottage. So I've decided, it was a big decision over the weekend, I've decided the cottage is pretty much ready. It's been getting ready for the shoot. It's looking absolutely lovely and Jazzy and I are loving being there. So we've decided we are going to move there for the lockdown because it's still very commutable from London. But I only need to come into London a couple of days a week, as does Jazzy. And then she's with Matt the other kind of working days. So yeah, I'm moving the animals up there and we're going to do lockdown there, where we'll have lots more space and lots of lovely countryside walks. So I think I'll be happier up there. Lorianne, you mean you won't have to wake for... No, Lorianne, no. You can actually... You can wake at a normal time. Oh, thanks, guys. Yeah, I think it'd be really nice to be there. Oh, no, but someone else, it's going to be 1 a.m. Yeah, we're never going to please all of you guys, unfortunately. But that's why we're mixing it up. We're mixing it up. Oh gosh, they nearly just went into my side. We're mixing it up so that, yeah, it's not, hopefully different people can tune in at different times if you can't always tune in at 1 o'clock. Right, guys, so pressing that seam open, and then we're going to put that to one side and we're going to get the sleeves and we're going to sew the underarm sleeve together so that we can then go and put that in. So I think I'll just pin one sleeve because we're only going to realistically get one done together. So let's do one together. Just need to make sure I've got my right side there. That's my right side. Okay, so right side together, starting at this point here, the underarm. Oh, Fashion Cat would also be around 1 a.m. for you guys. Is that because you're in Australia? Or where else are you? Or maybe you're, I don't know. I'm trying to think of time zones. You're further forwards than from us. Make sure you're lining up your notches, guys, along here, as well as your raw edges. And that's that last one there. So that's all pinned like that. Oh, Guatemala. Oh my goodness. Australia. Oh. Very, very international. It does make me very excited that we're able to do this with people from all over the world tuning in. It is just the best experience. Right, guys, the underarm seam we're going to sew with 5/8 of an inch, 1.5 centimeters. Away we diddly diddly. We can live vicariously through you all, since we're not really able to travel at the moment, so. Oh, I wish sometimes that I could see you all, and like backdrops of where you are. That would be wonderful, wouldn't it? Especially if we could go to like somewhere really beautiful and show you the backdrop of a beach. Oh, you're watching in Spain. Oh, that's lovely. You're living vicariously through me. I'm living vicariously through you. Oh gosh. I think we're all living vicariously through each other. Oh. Okay. I am curious, Lorianne, and those of you that get up on the West Coast, do you go back to bed afterwards, or do you stay up? And if you stay up, do you have a nap in the afternoon? You must be so tired. Oh, you're enjoying your morning tea. That's lovely. I'm enjoying my post-lunchtime tea. I'm now going to press this open, guys. Still don't have a arm with me, but that doesn't matter. You stay up the whole day long, Lorianne. What time do you go to bed? Oh, I was in bed. I was very excited last night. I was asleep by 9:30. This has been the result. I've always liked an early night, but since this whole kind of lockdown thing in March, I've just become the earliest person going to bed now. Oh, you take an afternoon nap. Aww. 9 o'clock on early days. Ooh, yeah. Well, that seems about fair. 9 o'clock to bed if you're getting up so early. Right, we're pressing that open, guys, and now. Oh, I've just seen that. Oh no, surgery. Oh dear. Sorry to hear that. I hope it goes well. 9 PM is normal for me too. Thanks, guys. You're making me feel a lot better. Who needs late nights? Apart from those people watching it from Australia. So let's turn the sleeve the right way round. Can't you have a hot plate to keep your tea warm? Ooh, I never thought about that. Can you get small hot plates? I've not heard of that. I know you get big hot plates for like, if you have like a dinner party or something, or if you're cooking a big family meal, you can put things on that. But I can imagine if there was a big hot plate here, oh gosh, I'd burn myself, wouldn't I? Oh gosh. Oh! Rosie, I hadn't forgotten about this question. I was planning on talking about it at the end. So someone has been asking us about how to adapt the Edie top for a maternity top. And so I was thinking about this before we went live, just trying to rattle my brains. And I'm going to talk to you about it in a second, but I just want to talk about what I'm doing here. So I am dropping that in right sides together. So I've got the sleeve right sides together. I'm going to line up the side seam with the underarm seam. And keep those seam allowances pinned open. And then I'm going to take the notch that's at the sleeve head and line that up with the middle of the shoulder seam. And I'm pinning from the sleeve side. And then I'm going to line up notches as well. So you've got your 2 notches at your back of your sleeve and you've got your single notch at the front. So you line up all your notches. There's no need to do an ease stitch when you're doing a sleeve like this on jersey, because you can just ease it in with the fabric stretching a bit. So you still obviously need to make sure that you're not getting any pleats in there. So I pin quite thoroughly. So I'm now going to happily pin all the way around. And can talk about how to make an Edie top into a pregnancy top. So what you do, and what I did, is there is somewhere, I don't know if it's somewhere in the right back, I think I did an adjustment of a pattern that was similar to the Edie top. It wasn't one of ours, to make it into a dress. But essentially what you've got to do is you've got to add lots more length to the middle of the Edie. So the bump, if you think it's coming from here to about there, so what you need to do in this section, you need to slash it and just add a chunk. Now it's very difficult to sort of say how much. I think it's about 10 centimetres, perhaps. It is not naughty that you do that, Noella. So it's about 10 centimetres, maybe a bit more. Again, it depends where you are in your pregnancy. And then what you do is you gather that up. So before you do the side seams, you would stitch 2 rows of very narrow gathering stitch, and then you gather that up, and then you stitch that in. And so you have, like, if you notice, a lot of maternity tops have a kind of gathering bit. So basically what that has allowed, so you gather it so that it lines up with the back seam, but then all that extra fabric comes round. Oh, wonderful. Rosie has found a YouTube video on how I did it for the Molly top. But basically it's adding length in rather than adding width in. I did also cut a bigger size for my top because my boobs had got bigger. So you can cut, for example, you could cut, you need to do a little bit of kind of fiddling, but you could cut a bigger front than a back. But the main thing is you need to add length and then gather that length up at the point where the bump is. There's no point in gathering it up here or down there. Okay. So we're just pinning this. We've got a little bit of easy weasy there. We're going to just stretch that away. If only easing in on normal sleeve heads was like this. Is there anybody watching that likes putting sleeves in? You can, it's all right, we're all friends here. I promise I won't shout at you. I don't think I know anybody who likes putting sleeves in, but maybe there'll be somebody here that does. Nope, yeah, I'm with you. With you on that, Pauline. Yeah, or Fashion Cat, yeah. I know that feeling. Only if they're not set in, yeah. I enjoy those ones. The ones that are just sort of flat sleeves. Nah, Vanessa's not feeling it either. Rosie, do you like putting sleeves in? Oh, Sarah Body. It's Julie's influence. Do you know what? When I said that, I said, I wonder if Sarah likes it. Because I know you like a challenge, Sarah, don't you? You do love a challenge. So, raglan sleeves. Sarah, you're amazing. Sarah, guys, you should check out Sarah Body's feed on Instagram, guys, and you'll see all the incredible makes she does. Right. We have got pintasticness here now. This is when it's like a torture tool. I always think. So we're going to start at the underarm seam, and we're going to use our seam allowance of 1.5 centimetres or 5/8 of an inch, and we're going to go round and we're going to try and take the pins out as we go along and keep everything together. So we're just going to do it nice and slowly. Oh, yesterday someone put one in upside down. Oh, that was you, Helen. Very easily done. I've certainly I once made this faux fur coat, and oh my goodness, I had to sit there with a hoover as I was sewing because the fur was just going everywhere. It was awful. And I sewed the sleeve in the back to front, so it was like swinging backwards. I couldn't bring it to myself to take it, undo it. So I was like, that's just how it'll be. I'm sorry guys, I've just lost my thread from my needle there. Let's just pop that back in. Yeah. Okay. First pin. Just make sure you start your underarm seams and your side seams, those seam allowances are still pressed open. I'm getting stabbed left, right and centre. They'll all be worth it. And I have a nice, beautifully sewn in sleeve. You know, when I used to work in couture, and I certainly didn't sew for couture. I was nowhere near good enough. But I would have to make sure that the seamstresses in the workroom, that, you know, I'd keep an eye on their progress at the end of each day and during the day. So I'd be in and out of the workroom because I'd have to look after the daily schedule, who was doing what. And they used to put sleeves in with like 1 or 2 pins. It was amazing. Do you know what? Now, what I feel like I didn't make the most of being with such talented seamstresses. I would love to just be back in the room with them, just for a day, watch them sew. Watch them do a pin hem in chiffon, make it look easy. What was amazing is they didn't ever get stressed. I guess they, you know, these women, a lot of them were towards the end of their careers, and they had like been doing it for years, and so it just wasn't even difficult for them. But yeah, incredible. There's always someone you can learn from, that's for sure. Sarah, even Julie, I remember when I used to work with Julie in the bridal wear industry, she used to love watching the seamstresses there because they used to make, you know, these incredible wedding dresses and, you know, showed Julie how to do certain things. And they taught each other as well, I guess. Everyone's always trying to improve, aren't they? Right, we're coming back round. When we get round to the beginning, we're going to overlap and then we'll do our little reverse. There we go. Trim that off. And we have a sleeve, guys. Oh, well. There's probably about another half an hour or so, maybe a little bit longer, just to finish off putting the other sleeve in and then hemming. Your hems are about 1 centimetre, so you can hem them with the same stitch so that stretches, so that when you're putting them on. And tune in, it'll probably be early December to see this finished on me. But yeah, there's the start of an Edie top. I wish I could kind of, I can't be bothered to put it on. I think it would get stuck and I'd probably make a complete fool of myself. But yeah, we've pretty much made an Edie top together, haven't we, guys? In a lunchtime. That's pretty impressive. Right, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Nice to see some new people as well as the familiar names popping up. Thanks to Rosie for answering all your questions. Don't forget that the links to everything are in the description box below, including the fabric that I've used. And also don't forget that we now have our new fabric section created on our website. So you may, those of you on the mailing list will have seen that over the weekend. Those of you who haven't will not know that, but we have now lots of lovely fabrics up on the Sew Over It site. We're calling them perfect pairings, which is for things that we're sewing as samples so that you can actually see them made up. And then we've also got our Sew Over It staples, which are things that we've seen lots of over the years, and you guys want us to keep selling them, and that's what we're doing. Right, shut up, Lisa. I'll see you all tomorrow at 1 o'clock, guys. Bye.